Welcome everybody to this series of FBIS tutorials. We're going to be starting off slow and introducing you to the platform, and then walking you through all of the most common and important workflows that can be done through the FBIS, and there'll be opportunities to ask questions and to discuss any aspects of what we show you in this series. So we're really looking forward to it. Thanks very much for joining us for this training series. And without further ado, let's get started with the first training video, which is an introduction to the different components of FBIS. So to start off with, you can see the FBIS landing page. The URL for the platform is freshwaterbiodiversity.org. So if you type that in to your search bar, you'll land on this page. And you can see that for first-time users, there's an option to sign up. But I'm already signed up, so I'll hit the login page and I will sign in as Jeremy. And that actually signing in takes you straight into the map interface. But before we go to that, I'd like to just show you a little bit around the landing page first. So on the landing page here, you're presented with a summary of biodiversity records for the different modules that are currently on the platform. There are fish, anurines, invertebrates, adult odonates, and algae at this stage, with a few more in the pipeline. And you can see a little breakdown of the numbers of records and sites for each module. For example, for fish, there's just over 45,000 records for over 10,000 different sites for South Africa. And then at the bottom here, there is some other useful information. So there's shortcuts to the homepage and to the map. There is a button that takes you to documents and reports associated with the platform. There's a contact page, and there's also a button that explains how to cite the FBIS. And this is something that we encourage anybody who uses data from the platform to do. So just to show you, if you click on one of these, for example, citation, it takes you to the citation guidelines for FBIS. All right, so back to the homepage, and by hitting the, and also you can see there are some links along the top here as well, some shortcuts as well to some of the main tabs. So if I hit explore, that takes one straight to the map interface, which is the main interface of the FBIS platform. And you'll see that what loads here is a map of South Africa with the rivers layer showing. So you can see all the rivers for the country, and you can see biodiversity data points as well in yellow. And we're in the process of adding the wetlands map as well, which is going to be quite exciting. So most of the functionality can be found here on the top left in this menu bar. And I'm going to walk you through some of the main different tools that can be found in this bar and that can be used to help you, the users, improve the power and the ease of your data queries and searches and visualizations on the platform. So starting from the bottom and working up, here we have an option to use different base maps. At the moment, the default is set to the Bing satellite hybrid. So it's really a satellite map for South Africa, which we find to be mostly the most useful map. But there are other options as well. For example, there's an aerial photography layer that can be used. You can just look at topography. And you may just be interested in the terrain. So this may be a useful feature depending on the kind of search you're interested in. Then moving up to the next button, this is by clicking on this little icon here, it allows you to copy the history of your search and share that with someone else, or make a note of it for yourself so that you can very quickly use that link again in the future to repeat one of the searches you've previously done. Then there's the option to save the map as a PDF. At this stage, it's really just the map, the rivers, and the data points. But as you'll see as we work through these tutorials, you can visualize different spatial filters on the map as well. And that's when it can become quite useful to save an image of the map. Then the next button is the locate button. And this can be used to locate a site or an area of interest. And you can locate it using the spatial coordinates of the site, where you would enter the latitude and longitude of a known site, or you can use the farm portion code. For example, you may know the code of the farm in the area that you're interested in. All right, then we have a tab here which is called third-party layer selection. Now, third-party layers are other online databases that the FBIS has links with. And at this stage, we have two of these. We have the mini-SAS database and the inwards water quality database. So by turning on one of these, for example, the mini-SAS, that will then show data from the mini-SAS citizen science online database on top of the FBIS map. So these are actually shown in different little crab symbols, different colors representing different ecological conditions of a river or river health. And they're quite small, but if I zoom into an area, you can see that in the area around Pietermaritzburg, there are actually a lot of these little mini SAS data points. And the way that I zoomed in there actually was also quite interesting. If you hold down the shift bar and then you drag your mouse, you can select the size of the area into which you want to zoom. It's a really neat and quick way to explore different parts of the map. So I'll zoom back out using the little minus button at the top of the search bar so that I can see the whole of South Africa again. And I'll close the third-party layer selector and move on to the layer selector. Now, this is a really useful tool for visualizing different management and conservation and other kinds of spatial layers. The default is just showing the sites and the rivers, but there's really a wealth of different layers that can be used here to help visualize the data in different ways. I'm just going to turn off the mini SAS data. It'll make the little crabs disappear. And so, for example, I might want to turn on the national dams layer. And at the click of the button, then all of a sudden, the dams appear for South Africa. So if I zoom in to the area around Cape Town, you can see some of the main water supply dams immediately visible in the greater Cape Town area. Another commonly used layer is the strategic water source areas. And again, at the click of a button, you can then view the different key strategic water source areas for South Africa, which are very useful in a lot of conservation planning and management applications. And this is when it starts to get, as you add these layers to the map, we may also want to add, let's see, maybe fish sanctuaries. I'm really a fish biologist, so I'm very interested in where the different fish sanctuaries are located relative to the data points. And that's when it becomes really useful to use this button here to print the map with your selected spatial layers. Now, I'd like to point out that this list of spatial layers is quite exhaustive. And it's a growing list as well. So we're constantly adding new layers to complement the biodiversity data. So it's a living resource. And the majority, or at least some of these layers, can also be used as filters, but not all of them. In some cases, layers are just for visualizing data. In other cases, they can be used to filter the data. And that's what we really get into in the second session. of this training series. Right, the next tab is called the lasso control, and this is one of my personal favorites. This is, again, I'm just going to zoom into a part of the map and show you how you can use the lasso tool to draw a polygon around a group of sites. For example, this little area here, we may know this area very well, be interested in just the sites falling within this area of the map. And once you've drawn around the area that you're interested in, you can then hit update the search, and then that'll filter just by the records in that particular area. And that's really a neat way and a very flexible tool for custom selections of data points, and a way to do custom filtering. So let me close that and use this little reset arrow here to just get back to the map. All right, and then the last, but certainly not the least important tab on the search bar are the filters. And here we have a range of different kinds of filters, all the way through from being able to select the kinds of data that you're interested in with respect to the different biodiversity modules, right the way through down to the specific reference or study reference or reference category for the type of data that you're interested in. But that is really the focus of training session 2. So I hope you enjoyed the first session, and looking forward to seeing you in the next one.